Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast with your hosts George Junias
and Maria Petrakou. Now, this is part 2 of our Rhodes episode because we had so much to say. Now, we initially recorded our episode as one, but then when we saw, I wanted to bring in some of the interviews that we took from locals when we were there, etc. The episode got a bit long, so we decided to cut it in two. So here we are recording a new intro for our part 2, right, George?
Part 2, yes. So at this point, if you've not heard part 1 of Rhodes, it's probably a good time to pause, listen to part 1 and come back to part 2, or you could do it in reverse order. It's really up to you. However, if you have joined us not through social media, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok on our handle at My Greek Island to stay up to date with everything that's going on with the podcast, with My Greek Island. But also now we are officially on YouTube, and the handle for that is at My Greek Island Pod.
Exactly. And, you should head over and watch, which is our only video episode to date. Watch our 100th episode, which is available on video on YouTube and on Spotify. Now, if you'd like to support the show, like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff, share with a friend, your family, etc. And if you would like to support what we do further, which we bring to you with so much love, you can sign up to our Patreon, where you can access ad-free episodes, exclusive content, and access our closed group stories on Instagram, where me and George tend to troll each other. Now, throughout this episode, you're going to hear some more interviews from some locals, and we've also got some bonus content, don't we, George, at the end for our Patreon subscribers. But also, for those of you that have not picked up on it, head over to the website. I have issued my top picks. Well, mine and George's top picks, effectively. All of the things that we loved in Rhodes, plus Halki to purchase on the website. So, yes. Should we get into it?
Yes, without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island, with your hosts George and Maria. So as we said in the intro, this is part 2 of the Rhodes episode. Now in part 1, we touched on some key information about the island. When is the best time to go, how to get there, how long you need, and which nearby islands to combine Rhodes with are the perfect match, and what type of person or traveller this island is for. So as George said, maybe pause and listen to part 1 now, or if you want, just keep listening to hear our top recommendations of things to do, where to stay, including our top hack, and hear from a local, and of course for those Patreon subscribers, some bonus content with our favourite places to eat, drink and more. So let's get into it. Yes, exactly. So let's get into what you can do in Rhodes. And of course, first up is, ta-da, the beaches.
Surprise, surprise.
Rhodes has some great beaches, all type of beaches, sandy, pebbled, organised, secluded, for activities with kids. And some to note are, now 2 that we're going to mention are obviously extremely famous. I just want to mention them to give you a few tips. And those are St. Paul's Bay in Lindos, which is a stunning cove with turquoise waters. It does get very busy during the day when people visit Lindos. So we do recommend that you come here either super early in the morning or late in the afternoon for maybe a cocktail. That's the best way to see it without the crowds. The second one, which is super famous on the island, is Anthony Quinn Bay. It is beautiful for snorkeling. It is a beautiful bay, but it is a tiny bay and parking is limited. So once again, if you do want to visit this beach, go as early as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The third one that sorry, were you going to say something?
No, carry on. I was just agreeing. I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one that we want to mention, which is probably great if you're visiting the island with children, and maybe even not actually, now that I think about it, is Sambika Beach. Sambika Beach, you might remember this name because we mentioned it at the beginning, is literally just below. It's the beach that you can see from the monastery of Sambika. And it's a very long sandy beach with crystal clear waters. And this beach probably has everything for all. So for example, if you are traveling with children, it has water playgrounds. So great for kids that want to have a bit of fun. It does have more secluded spots. And we did head to one of those, which is sort of towards the end of the beach where there's no sunbeds. We set up our tent. It was quiet. There wasn't many people, etc. There's also a nice beach bar, which you can visit, which was sort of in the middle of the beach. But then one thing to bear in mind is that right at the end of this beach, there is all that. And that's why I said this beach probably has something for everyone right at the end of this beach. And it is closed off, so you don't have to worry that, people are exposing themselves. There is there is an area for nudists. There is an area which is a nudist beach. So do bear that in mind. Sambika Beach is a great place for everyone. One thing to caveat, and George, I don't know if you remember this, someone's car got stuck in the sand.
Yeah.
And I was joking on the Instagram stories that it was you. It wasn't him. But guess one caveat to say here is that you're better off parking where it is clearly parking spots and not try to get the car as close to the beach as possible, because you do risk getting your car stuck.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, and some other beaches that, they're worthwhile checking out are the beaches around Galicia Springs, which we went to, which were nice, but also the beaches towards the south of the island near La Jana, which is Zoe's village. And I mean, we do have an affinity there because we spent some time with friends. So if you know, you know. And also that beach you went to was quite windy because you nearly lost your drone trying to film like some footage of us in the sea with Rosalie. So
oh my God, yeah.
We had some good beach times there, didn't we?
I think that the south of the island is definitely more rustic. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the one that you mentioned before, Galicia Springs. Like, I love the beaches there. But I also really enjoyed the beaches on the south because they're so much more rustic than anything else that you get. But definitely, if you'd like to drone, you need to be aware that there's like these swirls of wind, which can literally throw off your drone if you're not. Oh my God, I really panicked that day. But yeah.
We didn't lose it like we did in Astibalia.
Yeah,
but on the topic of wind, it kind of leads us to the activities because right at the tip on the south, you've got Brasonisi, which is the ultimate place for windsurfing and kite surfing. And we visited because, we are doing the Migrant Island. We're literally going all around the island. But even if you don't plan on surfing, which is not something that you and I did, it is really worth a visit to see it, as it is very impressive. It's so also impressive. Very, very windy. And we were underprepared. There is a little bit of a trek that you can do to the tip of Brasonisi to the lighthouse. It probably takes around 40 minutes, but we went with I don't think I was wearing the right shoes and definitely did not have enough water, and it's quite hilly and you need the water, so it's something that you could consider doing. I mean, there was a supermarket and like a mini market that you could get water, but I think we were just like,
I don't think we were prepared with you definitely
just
weren't prepared with shoes, etc. But sure.
Yeah. Another activity that we really, really enjoyed was the Valley of the Butterflies, which is a magical nature reserve where thousands of Jersey tiger moths gather every summer. Now, the valley features shaded walking trails, wooden bridges, and waterfalls. So, regardless of the time of day you go, obviously it's going to be hot, but you're not going to be right in the sun because of the shaded sort of trees. There are two entrances. There's one at the bottom and one at the middle. Now, we went from the start, from the bottom, and the majority of the butterflies are from the middle entrance
Upwards.
part. Yeah, and so for the first part, we're like, not seeing any butterflies. Like, is this like a bit of a trap? And we just as I was about to get a bit ratty and be like, there's no butterflies, we entered the middle part, and I was like, oh my god, like you look at the tree and like they're everywhere. And
Yeah,
it was,
although
like,
I think initially we
amazing.
didn't realise that what we were seeing on the trees was actually the butterflies until they started flying, and we're like, what on earth is happening here? And it's such a shame that on video you actually can't see them.
You
Because
have to
there's
go
one,
there.
Yeah, there's one video where they were literally surrounding you, but when you look at the video, you can't see it as intense as it was in that moment. So definitely visit the Valley of the Butterflies.
Yeah, and I think children would love that. So I think your nephews would. And,
oh my god, they would. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
So in terms of history and culture, we've alluded to kind of Rhodes being quite rich, and one of the most kind of historically rich islands. Now, in terms of the history, so you've got Lindos, so that the Acropolis of Lindos is a breathtaking ancient site with panoramic views perched high above the whitewashed village of Lindos. Now, it features the temple of Athena Lindia, Hellenistic walls and medieval fortifications, and dates back to the 4th century. And yeah, I didn't go up to that. I decided to chill on the beach because I was quite tired. So Maria went when we were there, and
on the beach.
I just didn't hear anything but, well, I can't believe you didn't come up to this.
I could not believe it.
I really enjoyed my siesta on the beach.
Yeah, you did have a long siesta.
At a different time. It's something for the list next time I go.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, because usually it's me that wants to chillax, and you're the one. No, actually, I'm not the one that wants to chillax. I'm the one that needs a bit of a push to go on a trek or
because there was a
hill.
trek in Lindos we were going to go to as well, and I was just
you didn't do that either. I was actually the one begging you to do it.
Nah, just wanted.
Yeah, he wanted to chill. Nevertheless, I did go to Lindos. Yes. I did go up to the Acropolis, and it is so worth it.
Yeah. So definitely do that. And the next one is ancient Gamiros.
Just don't go with George, because he'll be having a nap.
yeah. Or you can join me on the beach and you can have a nap on your sun lounger or on the sand. So the next up is ancient Gamiros, which is one of the 3 great cities of ancient Rhodes, dating back to the 5th century BC. It's often referred to as the Pompeii of Greece due to its well-preserved ruins. And today, visitors can explore its ancient streets, houses, and temples. And it's relatively near to, if you were going to Chalki and you wanted to go from Gamiroskala, it's actually not too far from there. So you can see on the map where it is. So, yeah.
So next up is Rhodes Old Town. As George briefly mentioned in the intro, Rhodes Old Town is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's an absolute wonder, filled with cobbled streets, stone walls, and grand castles. It was built by the Knights of St. John, and it boasts landmarks like the Palace of the Grand Master, the Street of the Knights, let me say this slowly so I get it right, the Suleymaniye Mosque, which is actually currently being restored, and there's also a Jewish synagogue. So the old town offers a mix of Gothic, Ottoman, and Byzantine influences, and it really does feel like stepping back in time. And it is definitely worth wandering through the old town, through the hidden alleys, and its lively squares, and there's loads of charming shops, restaurants, cafes, and it's just full of history and culture. I mean, you loved wandering in the old town.
The old town, and also not just, it is really nice in the really early morning before the tourists all arrive, but also in the evening. I don't know, it just gave very medieval vibes. At times,
so cool.
In the evening when we were going back to the apartment and the accommodation, and you were going through the windy streets, it did feel like I was on some sort of film set. It almost didn't feel real. And you can kind of get lost, but I just really
and it's just never ending.
It's just epic.
It's really
and also
big.
You can wander down, you can be on a main street and then go down one sort of side street, and you've got actual locals living there, and they're like sitting there like going to sleep, watching the telly, like doors open sort of
and
thing.
they chit chat to you. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They would talk to you, and the amount of people that would like chit chat with us. And because this is a probably a good place to plug this, but the locals speak a dialect of Greek which is so similar to the Cypriot dialect. So I just found myself chit chatting to them in the Cypriot dialect, and they realized that I was from Cyprus because we have slight pronunciations differently, but I was like chit chatting to the locals constantly in the Cypriot dialect, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they're all willing to like chit chat to you no matter what language you speak, to be honest. So it's that is a really cool thing. Now, somewhere here, we're going to take a small pause to go and listen to a story from a local who we're going to hear from a few times throughout this episode. We're going to hear from Nikos Thyris, someone who, how would I say, has so many layers to his character. He has many passions, and he performs them all with so much love. He also has an amazing sense of humour for those who appreciate a bit of sarcasm. Now, we met Nikos as the accommodation that we stayed was very close to his restaurant, layer 1 of his character. And this restaurant is a must visit in Rhodes, and it is included within the Top Picks Rhodes guide, which is available to purchase on the website. And we actually went to this restaurant more than once. Now, layer 2 to his character is opposite the restaurant. He has a nail parlour, which obviously I tried out and tested in case any of you want to go and get your nails done. Now, further down, we're going to hear about more layers to Nikos' character. Yes, there's more. Believe it, there's more. But for now, let's head over so he can tell us a little story about various neighbourhoods in Rhodes.
This story of these neighborhoods is fascinating. It's part of the Rhodian history and Rhodian culture. It starts back in 1522, where after 200 years of occupancy, the Crusaders, the St. John's Crusaders, made a deal with the Ottoman Empire. Suleiman was the boss about the time, the Sultan, and he gave them Malta as an exchange to conquer Rhodes. So about that time, 1522, the conquerors leave for Malta, and a new era, the Ottoman Empire era, starts for the island. When imagine now we have 1522, okay, we have pirates, we have wars, it's hard stuff. So about that time, everything was Ottoman Empire, so it was not any actual threat. It was all Ottoman Empire. So the Christians were living inside. The only domestic place was inside the walls, was what we call today Old Town, was the city and everything of the time. So when the Ottoman Empire took as the conquerors, of course, they took the place, they gave us in exchange pieces of land of the time, gardens of the time, to the Christians to build their church and their new neighborhood. So the Christians were building their new church, and all around it was developed, the new Christian neighborhood was developed. So these neighborhoods, by the time it was no need for Christians or Ottomans, or it was just the old Rhodian neighborhoods. And up to date, from 1522 until now that we are sitting on this narrow street, it is a living place. It is an actual historic place of Rhodos. It's 7 places called Marassia. We are sitting currently in St. John's Marassia, and behind us is St. Anargiri. A little lower is the St. Anastasia, Metropolis, and many more.
So Marassia effectively means neighbourhood.
Yes, exactly.
So we're currently in the neighbourhood of St. Yannis, which in Greek would be the Marassi of Agios Yannis.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Exactly. And it's a church here, we can see from here.
Yeah, so effectively the church was built first and then
Yeah.
the neighborhood was built around the church.
Of course, this is how it was going about that time.
Layer 1, complete. Let's head back to listen to me and George tell you more about things you can do in Rhodes, and we'll listen to Nikos a bit further down. Just another thing to mention, and now we're going to get into it a bit more, is we've mentioned the monastery of Panagia Tsambika a few times, and there are two. The one is a small monastery which is perched at the top of a steep hilltop, which is dedicated to the Virgin Mary Tsambika, Panagia Tsambika, which is famous for helping women seeking fertility blessings. Now, random fact, George knew that and I had no idea.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. What I knew was that if a woman is named Tsambika, usually that alludes to the fact that she's from Rhodes. I knew that, but I didn't know about the fact that the monastery was famous for helping women seeking fertility blessings. Nevertheless, it's definitely worth, whether seeking fertility blessings or not, it's definitely worth visiting this monastery. However, we do need to caveat that it is 300 steps up to reach it, but it is definitely worth it. It offers breathtaking views, and the chapel is really peaceful and beautiful. Just a few things to bear in mind, though. Number one, obviously, you do need to respect the fact that it's a religious site, so you would need to cover up. No going up in your swimsuit, dress modestly, effectively. And just a quick tip on parking. So there's two spots to park. One is right at the top. But to get there, there is one last stretch of a very steep road, which did kind of freak George out. So he asked me not to go up
Doesn't take much to freak me out on the cars and the steep hills, but
it is doable. You do need to be a confident driver. But you do also have the option to leave the car at a parking just below that last steep road. And to know that you've reached it, there's a small chapel there. So it's only an extra like 500, 600 meters up, and it's not a difficult walk up. So you don't have to worry that, you're going to walk much more. That is the first thing. So if you're not that much of a confident driver, leave it at the parking just below the last stretch. Number two, beware of the goats in the parking spots, because as soon as you open the boot, they do run up thinking that you've got food, and they will poke themselves into the boot of your car and your bag. And one of them freaked George out.
Yeah. Because I wasn't literally just open the boot, and I looked around like, oh my God, what are you doing here?
Yeah, you were
I do like
surrounded by
goats, but not like invading my space. I was like,
Yeah. And then the next tip is wear trainers.
Yeah.
And the reason is I was in grippy like sandals. But the steps are a bit slippery, and on the way down, I sort of had a bit of a fall. So we don't want that happening to you. We get it wrong so that you can get it right. So go in trainers. And then lastly, just as an FYI, do not be surprised if you see people crawling up. That means that they're on a pilgrimage. Just respect that respect what they're doing. Give them a bit of space. Maybe even cheer them on. But yeah, I think that's all we wanted to say about Panagia Tsambika, right?
Yeah, and take in the breathtaking views,
Oh my
and then
God,
you can see Tsambika Beach, we kind of reference, and then you can kind of be like, oh, in half an hour's time, I'm going to be down there having a nice little dip.
Exactly.
Are you planning a trip to Greece and feeling completely overwhelmed by all those options? Well, we've got you covered. Why not book a personalised travel consultation with our very own Greek island guru, Maria, designed to make planning simple, efficient, and completely tailored to you. You can choose from 3 tiers: Whether you just want, to pick her brains, need a high-level plan to build your very own trip, or want a fully customized travel itinerary, there's an option to suit your style and budget. And in true Maria style, she has thought of everything, so you can also add follow-up support by email, or even book a second call if you need help finalizing those finer details for your trip to Greece. Now to book, head over to the website www.mygreekis.land/book to see the options and get started with your travel consultation with Maria. That is www.mygreekis.land/book. There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
And lastly, we cannot not talk about food and wine.
Course.
Obviously, the food is amazing, not an understatement. There is a very long list of places that are great to eat and drink for all budgets and for all meals. Like even breakfast, I had some great breakfast places.
Oh,
as
you
well.
love the breakfast. You were making us get up like early doors to go for breakfast.
Yeah, quite a few great places.
Yeah.
But just to mention some local products, number one is melekuni, which is a sesame and honey snack, traditionally actually given at weddings. Number two, pitaroudia, which are chickpea fritters. And especially if you get to try them in a village, that's even more amazing. Like there's some little tavernas that you can find in villages, which are really cool. And we went to Zoe's village and had a really nice meal with pitaroudia.
And we actually only scratched the surface with villages, didn't we?
We really did. And then just on the spirit side, some to bear in mind is souma, which is a local distilled drink similar to ragi. And we actually found someone who I have interviewed who produces his own souma and his own wine. So Rhodes also has a rich winemaking tradition, and you can visit wineries. And just one indigenous grape variety to mention that we really enjoyed is athiri, although you did find me drinking more souma than wine on this one.
You were. I mean, because sometimes they give it to you and I was like, Maria, that's yours?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have that. Yeah.
George wasn't even bothering to sip it. I was like having his as well.
Yeah, I just have like my glass of rosé or two, and that's probably me done for the night. But Maria can have the souma all the time.
I have the souma, and then I'm also like, can I have a nightcap? I want like a Negroni.
Oh, yeah, true. And then you might be, the food and wine. As soon as we're anywhere and someone's like wine or wine production or whatever, Maria's like, so you love that. It's like, you get really.
Talk to me about food and spirits, and I'm literally chatting away.
We'll be besties.
Don't need much. Now, hopefully, you've put two and two together. And when I said that we interviewed someone who makes souma and wine, I was talking about Nikos. So this is layer 3 of his character. But then layer 4 is that he's actually studying to become an enologist. Like, I don't know how many more things this man can do. But anyway, let's go back and hear from Nikos, where he's firstly going to tell us about the history of wine in Rhodes and the indigenous grape varieties.
The history of wine goes really, really back in the ages. Imagine, don't forget, Maria, we had the god of wine, Dionysus. We had the god for wine. Imagine, I mean, it's been thousands of years ago that we invented the god for wine. So, yeah, it's a huge history going on. On this island, it's a huge background, wine background. When it comes to indigenous varieties, we have, when it comes to whites, it's the Afiri, it's Assyrtiko, Malagousia, and some, when the Italian era started here, the Italians did a huge research on wine. Even they invented Cair, they started Cair Company, a huge company
which
that
is still active
still active. But the thing is that they did a big research, and they brought many international varieties. They planted many in. They had a huge know-how. So up to date, we have many varieties all around the island. But of course, first, when it comes to whites, it's Thyris. When it comes to reds, is Mandillari and Mandillari, or you can hear it named Amoriano. It's yes, it's the same variety, two different names. It depends on the islands, but mostly the Aegean islands have the same. It's some varieties that love this whole Aegean microclimate, the sea breeze, the saltiness.
Now, as I said, Nikos also has his own wine production. So let's hear where he explains about his own wines.
It's two labels now that they are out. The one is a blend. The other one is a single grape. And this single grape is Thyris, of course. And it is from the really important PDO zone, PDO Rhodes, protected designation of origin, which includes every part from village Embona, Siana, Polakia, Santisidoro, Monolithos, which is my place. And it's really, it's not that developed on the touristic way. It has no much interest when, like Lindos, like the touristic, the superstars of the touristic part of Rhodes. But it's really interesting when it comes to the local productions. The other one was it's Thyris again, and up to a percentage, and then it was Sauvignon Blanc, Moscato, and Malagousia. They're involved really aromatic varieties. It's a nice. The one, for me, like I see it, the one is 100% gastronomic wine. It loves food. It loves to be accompanied by food. And the other one, it is a passepartout wine. You can have it any time of the day. Yeah, you can have it even if we're sitting in a balcony in a really nice night and enjoying a glass of wine, not specifically with food, but even just like that.
Now, if you remember, we also mentioned Suma, a local spirit. And guess what? Nikos produces that too. And I blame him for my new spirit obsession. Because our second night in Rhodes, we actually went to his restaurant and I asked for tsipuro. And he very elegantly introduced us to his own label of Suma, which did not disappoint. So let's hear from Nikos to tell us about the Suma he produces.
So I'm considered guilty on this one about your new... Yes, Suma, Tsipuro, Raki, Zivania in Cyprus, Grappa in Italy. The base, the main procedure is the same. We have a copper that we boil inside a must, and then we separate the beverage we have. We separate the spirit and we take the pure alcohol. Okay, there we lower it down, we take it to 40 degrees, and we have based on grape. This is the main characteristic that differs every other spirit, that it is a grape. Of course, whatever is made by grape is the finest, always. Whatever is made, alcoholic beverage is made by the grape. With the king is wine. Everything this is what differs the situation. So we take the grapes, we ferment them, and then we distill them. And we have Thyrio. Thyrio is the beast. It's I named it. It's a funny. My second name is Thyris. And from Thyris comes Thyrio, which was like something like my nickname in older ages. And it's a funny name because the beast is it's something kind of funny to name a spirit. And it is out. The locals love it. Now I'm trying to expand it a bit in the rest of the Greece, in the market of Athens. It's a small company, but it's a super small company, but it's made with love, and it's, I'm growing with her.
And indeed, he is growing with her, which brings me to just mention the last layer of his character before we get back into the last part of this episode, which is that Nikos also has a restaurant in Athens. And there you can find his spirits. The restaurant is called Athiri. I'm going to put it in the show notes so that you can go and check it out. It is a beautiful restaurant in a little stoa, as we call them in Greek, which is it's sort of like an internal entrance to a building. And there you can try homemade Greek recipes. So definitely try it out. We thank you, Nikos, so much for this interview. He's such a fun character. So many layers to him, as you have heard. But for now, let's get back into the episode and head over where me and George are going to tell you where you should be staying when you visit Rhodes.
Where to stay in Rhodes, or going on to our next sort of segment. There is, a long list of accommodation options, hotels, catering for all types of travellers. If you are listening to the My Greek Island podcast and you've listened to us before, if this is your first time, you probably want to explore the island and are not looking for kind of that all-inclusive stay in the resort type of thing. If that's your vibe, all good, you go. But if you are looking to explore the island, you're probably most likely going to have a car, maybe stay in Rhodes town. Others might prefer to stay on the beachfront, or even stay in the area of Lindos. We did choose to stay in the town, and there's some things to note about the staying in the town, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, staying in the medieval town is actually super magical, has a charm, but there are a few things to bear in mind. You cannot actually take a car into the medieval town, so you would need to know where to park. And we did notice that on the one side, it is so hard to find parking, whereas we stayed on the other side, on a bit of the outskirts. So if you choose to stay in the medieval town, it is very important to know where to park so that you can get into the medieval town. So you will have to walk. Although some accommodation options have the golf cars that will take you and bring you with your luggage when needed. So you also bear that in mind. But also bear in mind that Rhodes town is literally on the tip of the island, which means wherever you go, you need to drive. And sometimes, depending on where you're going to go, you might need to drive a lot. But George has a hack for you, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've
and you
mentioned
actually
driving.
Thought of it on the. Yeah. You were the one that I think came up with it. You were like, "Let's do this," and we just went along with it. So we've tried and tested this.
We tried and tested, and it works, but we could have done a bit more of it. But we've alluded to a lot of driving. Now, Maria did most of the driving, probably 95%. I drove about 5%, but I was particularly tired of the driving to explore the whole island. So something that we did try, and we did stay one night, but we would probably recommend to do a bit more. So is to stay in the town. And then so basically stay in two locations. So we stayed in Rhodes town, and then we also stayed in Lindos. So by doing that, you can enjoy multiple parts of the island without driving too much. So having to go to the south of the island, then back to the main town. And you can enjoy things like Lindos without the huge crowds, as people come to see Lindos mainly during specific times of the day. So like really early in the morning when you were out and about, it was kind of quite
oh my god, it was amazing.
Quiet, and you met you went for a really early morning swim and met some kind of like cool Australian ladies who were swimming, didn't you?
Oh my god, yeah. And
was that at St. Paul's Bay?
That was at St. Paul's Bay, yeah. So I went for a sunrise drone, and these ladies literally were going for a swim, and they would they were I was in awe. They were planning then to go to Simi and swim around the entire island. Like, I was like, I admire you.
Yeah, you came back. I was like, oh my god, I've met these people.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I've literally just woken up. It's like 7:15. And maybe it was a bit later, but over exaggerated as always. But also, Lindos has some really amazing restaurants and bars on offer too. So if you are staying there a few nights, you can enjoy them too, without the excessive crowds and without the need to kind of be driving a long way back. So essentially, if you're going to Rhodes and you want to do it the My Greek Island way, stay in two locations, or even better, you can stay in 3 or 4 if you've got
loads of time to spare and
Yeah,
you
if
want
you've
to,
got loads of time. But I think
we just scratched the surface with like some of the villages and
Exactly.
stuff.
But I do think the two top destinations we would recommend to stay is the Old Town and Lindos.
Yeah.
But
100%.
probably we stayed one night in Lindos. Probably would recommend 2 to 3 nights.
2 to 3, yeah, because we were like getting into it and then we're like, oh, driving back now. But yeah.
So I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a wrap for part 2 of Rhodes. And I mean, if you were a patron subscriber, you would have heard to our top picks and recommendations. And if you haven't, then you're not a patron subscriber. So you might want to think about, supporting the show and hearing our favorite top picks around restaurants, places to drink, and beaches, and much more.
Yeah, exactly. However, if you do want to see the top picks that we've mentioned for our Patreon subscribers and also a few more, as we've mentioned at the beginning of the episode, you can purchase the top picks for Rhodes and bonus, including Halki, which is available on the website. Now, should we look at a Greek phrase?
Yeah, I think at this point we should be getting our Greek phrase for the episode. And in line with what we talked about in part 1, about Rhodes being the island of the deer, we're going to give you the word for the deer of Rhodes, which is to elάφι της Ρόδου. To elάφι της Ρόδου, which is the deer of Rhodes.
So that would be, to elάφι της Ρόδου. Cool.
Amazing. Okay, so...
Is that a wrap?
That is a wrap. Have you got anything else to say?
I think that's enough for now, but should we just say that there is an additional bonus episode coming on Rhodes? So not just part 1, not just part 2, expect another bonus short and sweet episode about Rhodes, also coming soon.
Yeah, so thank you for
then,
listening.
Should we say goodbye, George?
I do. I just want to say thank you for listening and make sure you follow us, like and subscribe and all that jazz. And we'll see you on the next episode.
We will. Yes.
Yes.
Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag @MyGreekIsland on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek,
Ta leme.